is Luís Paulo Freitas, and welcome, Luís.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Lucas. I'm a PhD student in the Institute of Chemistry of Araraquara, and I'm going to present the work we're developing in methane to methanol conversion over copper-exchanged zeolites. I work with Anderson, and we're supervised by Professor Gustavo. And we also work in collaboration with Tuanan and Professor Juarez. Here are just some topics. I'm going to focus the presentation, the methodology we're using to study the material, and some preliminary results. So natural gas is important as an energy resource with the petroleum depletion. And because of its impracticable storage and transport, it's of great interest of the industry to study methane to methanol conversion. And the most used route is the syngas formation, but it requires high temperature and it demands high investments in infrastructure. So it's more interesting, economically attractive if we could perform this reaction in the direct conversion process. But we all know the stability of methane that makes the products more reactive, and that can lead to the over-oxidation to carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So at this point, it's important to develop new technologies that can mimic the activity of methane monoxygenase enzymes, of methanotrophic bacteria that can perform the direct conversion reaction at room conditions. And this way we can make the process more feasible to the industry. We find some promising results in metal exchange zeolites, in particular copper exchange zeolites, that presents high selectivity for methanol production. And zeolites are nanoporous materials that act as molecular sieves and are studied for many reactions. But in the specific case of methane to methanol conversion, we can highlight the MFI framework that has been studied for many years, and the Shabazite framework that recently demonstrated high production rates for methanol. And that's the focus of our work. Many attributes the activity of the confinement effect of these small pore zeolites. The reaction in this material occurs in a stepwise process, where the first step is the copper-oxo complex activation. The nature is still a matter of debate, but we based our model on some studies and experiments and theory that reveal the copper-oxo species stabilized by aluminum atoms at the center of 8-membered rings of small pore zeolites, such as shown in figure. And there's a limitation factor in this step. That's the active species formation is dependent on the silicon and aluminum molar ratios. The second step is the reaction itself, the methane partial oxidation, and that's the focus of these first investigations. And the third step is necessary due to the polarity of methanol that binds strongly in the metal surface, so it requires an additional step for the product recovery using steam or polar solvent. We can investigate another limiting factor, that since we're studying the reaction in small pore zeolites, the window size for the 8-membered ring crossing is comparable to the molecule size of the methane methanol molecule. So we propose the investigation of the cage-to-cage diffusion using enhanced sampling techniques with molecular dynamic simulations to compute the free energy profiles and see if we can notice some limitation factor for the reaction in this process. And then we intend to investigate the reactivity and the reaction mechanism in material with QMMM approach using Born-Oppenheimer molecular dynamics. At this point, I'm just going to show some preliminary results with the QMMM and the results we got so far with the molecular dynamics. But to perform any of these simulations, we need a force field. We based our force field in Gromos. And the reason for that is because Gromos has already many parameters for the system. The missing bounded parameters we got with energy surface scan using ORCA for the angle bending and bond stretching. And the surface curve we fit with the Gromos force field equation. And for the charge parameterization, we use the restrained electrostatic potential. So as we have the force field, we could perform the first molecular dynamics. In this case, we propose two different diffusion paths, one from a cavity containing the active site to an empty cavity. And by empty cavity, I mean cavities with no metal centers. And the other path is between two empty cavities. The purpose here is to investigate the effect of the active site on the diffusion, and also the effect of the methane-methanol mixture composition. So we perform the same simulation to investigate the diffusion of methane and methanol molecules in methane, in methanol, and in an equimolar mixture of both. But the problem is we just can't use standard molecular dynamics, because in this case, we start with the system in a local minimum of energy. And to access some specific regions, we may need energy to overcome some barrier. And it may be impracticable with standard simulations. So what we do is use enhanced sampling techniques to give energy to the system and to force to desired configuration. So in this case, we use the potential of main force that apply a harmonic potential in one molecule of the system. And in this case, we can improve the configuration at a given state of configuration. We can improve the sampling at a given state of configuration. And in this way, we can reach the desired configuration and estimate the energy barrier. At the end, the GROMACS can remove the bias and calculate the barrier. And we have the sampling over all the molecular dynamics in the graph, and the x-axis coordinates there represents the distance between the PMF molecule used for the sampling and the active oxygen of the active site. To achieve all the results we need for this investigation, we need to perform around 150 molecular dynamics. So I'm just going to show some results we got so far, and which conclusions can we take from that. For the free energy profile of methane, we can see on the left side the diffusion from active site cavities to empty cavities, and there is the predominance of the steric effect of the active site. But when the metal is not present on the right side from the diffusion between two empty cavities, we have that the greatest obstacle is imposed by the presence of the crossing of the 8-membered ring. The methanol effect on the system that we can see in the graphs below does not change much the energy barrier, but we can see from some results we got this week that for a large amount of methanol, the energy barrier for methane diffusion increases considerably, and that can be in accordance with the information we have about the third necessary step for the product recovery. We can see in the free energy profiles from methanol that, as expected, the energy barrier is much higher, and it's around 6 kilocalories per mole, while for methane was around 2 kilocalories per mole. But the interesting thing is that to the diffusion from empty to empty cavity, we can see that there's a difference in the energy level from between the two cavities, and that can be explained by a directional flow existing within the pores of the zeolite that can be justified by electrostatic effect. So there must be a preferential direction for the motion of the molecules. We also observe visually the trajectory that methanol indeed accumulates in the center of the pores, mainly the empty pores, and that can be showing the radial distribution function curves, that methane concentrates in a large amount in the active site cavities, but in the rest of the zeolite, you can see that we find more methanol molecule, and that justify why it's so hard for the methane to diffuse along the pores, because for a large amount of methanol, they can just leave the material after the reaction. Well, the QMM method consists of splitting the system into partitions. So in this case, we want to investigate the electronic properties or some phenomena that depends on the electronic properties. So the QM partition is the atoms of the active site as shown in the figure. and it's described by DFT. The partition is the rest of the system, and we describe it with the parameters of the force field. And the third term in the Hamiltonian corresponds to the QM coupling that describes the interaction of the QM atoms and the atoms. At this point, we had some problems. It took a very long time to find it, but we can fix it. And now we have our first stable structures. At the boundary of the QMM simulation, we set on the silicon-oxygen polar bond, and we use this the link atom method to correct the valence of the QM boundary atoms. We performed geometry optimization, Born-Oppenheimer, molecular dynamics in a canonical ensemble, and now I show the results for these first simulations. So I compute some geometry parameters that are important for the reaction, such as the angle of the copper-oxo complex that is reported to be directly related to the reaction, to the activation energy. And I also show some results from the distance between some atoms, and we compare these results with some results already published in the literature with DFT calculations, and it is in pretty good agreement. And then the radial distribution function for the methane in relation to the active site. And we see that there is some affinity of methane molecules to the metal. Here's some electronic properties that will be important when we start to study the reaction. Some molecular orbitals that will be interesting to study when we include the methane molecule in the QM partition. And we also investigate the dipole moment that we expected to have due to the symmetry of the active site. And these oscillations can be justified by the degrees of freedom that we observed during the molecular dynamics. Here just animation to show the stability of the structure. At this point, it's important to show that we use an hybrid approach to compute some properties that we can just get with DFT calculations. And we showed that we can get the same results, at least structural results, but without using many atoms in the quantum description. And that's the importance of the QMM simulation. As perspective, we intend to include the methane molecule in the QM partition to study the reaction pathway. And for that, we can use the enhanced sampling techniques such as the potential of main force to control some reaction coordinates and build bidimensional potential energy surface. And we can also test the results with different metal centers to analyze in which case we have the lowest energy barrier. We also intend to study different size pores for the zeolites, such as large and medium pores. And in this way, we can also use the strategy Anderson mentioned that we can use nanoparticles inside the pores since we use pores with large enough. And in the future, maybe if we have time, we can investigate the first step for the metal oxo activation with oxygen. So here, just some example of a reaction pathway that's proposed in the literature, just to show how we can control the reaction coordinates and verify the potential energy surface and to see which path is more favorable for the reaction to occur. So I would like to thank you all for the attention and for the organizers for giving me the opportunity to speak here. Thank you.
Okay, so we are now open for questions.
Hi, good presentation. I only have a question about when you show the radial distribution function of methanol and methane. And okay, what is your setup of this system? You have a zeolite nanoparticle embedded in a gas box. What do you have there? I do not understand.
What was the system? The question is, what is a zeolite, small pore zeolite, the Shabazite framework, and we just built the active site and we replicate it in space. So we have the periodic material, and
but if you know that, you cannot say that your methanol cannot goes out of the material once you have a periodic boundary condition and no space to go.
no, now I understand. Yeah, in the y-axis, it's open. So we observe that the methane molecules go inside the material from the y-axis, and methanol could also leave from this axis, but we do not observe this happen.
You have one direction that is vacuum.
Yeah, we have
Then you
two
can
dimensions, periodic, infinite. You can say infinite dimensions, and one dimension where the molecules could leave and enter the material.
And how many layers do you have of the zeolites?
Many layers.
Yeah, because if you have one space with the zeolite and the other empty, how many constructions of the zeolite layers do you have? Only one?
I don't remember this detail, but we could talk about this in the poster section with Anderson, because he helped me with a lot of these the material built in the.
Because then you need to treat the surface.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else?
Just to that same question, how many would you say? 3 layers? 3 layers of what? Because this system has about 12,000 atoms, the zeolites. What you call layer for, I think maybe for me is different than what you are call layer.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay.
On that particular case, you are considered just one type of zeolite, okay?
Yeah.
The parameterization that was done there, could you apply it for zeolite with different size of rolls?
I believe so. I believe you can transfer the force field for other similar materials.
Okay, good. And you have a plan to do this in this direction, eh?
Yeah. I'll be glad to talk to anyone about any other computational detail later in the poster section.
Okay, so let's thank